All right, we're going to attempt to show you how to use the Vernier Caliper and the micrometer. So the first one up here that we have is the Vernier Caliper, and you're going to know how to read both of these devices for the Jedi trial. And this first one here, if you just look at this thing, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then each one of those 0 to 1 is divided up into 10 markings. So those are centimeters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centimeters. These markings in between, a centimeter is divided up into 10 little spaces, and those spaces are called millimeters. So right here would be 5 millimeters, and there's 10 millimeters and 15 millimeters, or you could say 1.5 centimeters. You could put it in either label you'd like. So this right here is basically like a regular ruler. So you've already should have practiced a little bit with a regular ruler. And if you were measuring how far out, let's say, let's just do something here. Let's say at the end of this line right here, the end of this thing. Let's say we wanted to measure how far out that was. Well, you'd see it's 4 centimeters. It's beyond the 5th millimeter, so it'd be 4.5. And then you would actually have to guess in between these. So when you're doing precision with a metric ruler, you always have sig figs. You have digits that you know for sure. We would know that it's a 4.5, but you wouldn't know what this digit is in here, so you'd have to guess. So you'd say like 4.52 or something like that. So you would just have to guess. So on a Vernier caliper, it's actually more precise. It's not more precise because it takes you out to a further place of precision. It actually still goes to a 1/10 of a millimeter or the 100th of a centimeter, but it would allow you to, using these numbers down here, to be able to make a more precise estimate of that. So if a whole bunch of you are doing the same measurement, you'd probably get the same value for that estimate. If you were just all using a metric ruler, you probably wouldn't necessarily get the same value for this little estimate in between here. That's why it makes it more precise, even though it's not actually going out to a further place. So we're going to come down here and we're going to try this. Here's a blow up of the Vernier caliper here. And so this is 0, 1, 2, 3. These look way bigger than centimeters, but that's what you're supposed to pretend they are. So 0 to 1 is 1 centimeter. These are all millimeters here. And here's the slider. We can slide it back and forth. And the key is on the Vernier caliper, I'll just go back up here to this top. The key is your marking that you're looking to measure things is this 0 line right here. A lot of people mess up and think it's probably right here, what this is right here. That's not what it is. It's the 0 line that's on the little tab right here. And you'll see that why it's not right here, because the 0 is not right over here, right? So the 0 is not over here. So it's offset. So this 0 is over here, and this is where even though you put something in between the jaws here, but the 0 is where you're going to say this is marking where your measurement is on this ruler. Okay, so and you can read this page here. It probably is a better explanation of what I'm actually even giving. So what I can do is I can move this around. I can't slide this over as far as I'd like to, so I can only measure up to almost 1.5 centimeters. So I'll just move this over here and I'll put it like somewhere like right there. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at this 0 line. This is pointing where our measurement's going to be. If I click, I think on this right here, it actually puts a line over there. Yeah, that's going to line up what's the most. I'll click that off just for a second. Okay, so this line here is pointing in between the 1 centimeter and the 1 millimeter after the 1 centimeter. So right now what it's going to be is it's going to be 1 point something in here. So 1.0, and it's not at the one. It's not past the 1.1. It's 1.0. So what I can do is I can write down 1.0, and then I need to figure out how far is it in between the 1.0 and the 1.1. So this is the 1.0. This is the 1.1. How far is it between the 1.0 and the 1.1? So I have 1 centimeter, right, or 10 millimeters, and it's how far over is it? Well, and if this was just a regular metric ruler, you'd have to guess. You might say it's like, 8 over or 7 over or something. You might just make a guess. But the vernier caliper allows us to be more specific. So what I do is I look at all these 0 through 10 lines right here, and I figure out which line over here lines up really, really well with a line above it. So if I look at the first line, or the 0 line could actually be lined up, because if it was, it'd be 1.00 centimeters, or 10.0 millimeters. But it's not. So the 1 is not lined up. 2, no, 3, 4. See, we're getting closer. 5, closer. 6, really close. 7 is really lined up. That's why when you clicked on this, it actually highlights which line is lined up really well. So the 7 is lined up. So that's going to be 1.07 centimeters. If you want to do it in centimeters, what they've done it here is they've done it in millimeters, and I don't know why they do a comma instead of a period, but 1.07 centimeters, or 10.7 millimeters. 10.7 millimeters. Okay, so I write down the first 2 digits. So I do like 1.0. This is the 1.0. This is the 1.1. This would be the 1.2 line, and so on. So you can write that down, but then you're going to get your estimate from down here, and you can add it on. If I'm looking over here where I'm drawing, you could add a 7 onto there, and that would be it. Okay. Let's move it further out here. Let's see. I'll do it there. Okay, so here's the pointer. Here's 1 centimeter, or if you want to do it in millimeters, it might be easier for you. This is 10. You're going to have to do it either way. 10 millimeters, 11, 12, 13, 14 millimeters. 14 millimeters. Here's 15 millimeters, and the line is in between the 14 and the 15 millimeters. So what I could do is I could write down 14. If I want to do this in millimeters, I'd write down 14. If I want to do it in centimeters, I'm beyond the 1.4 mark in centimeters. Hope that makes sense. You can ask me questions when you're in school. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. So then I have to figure out how far beyond it is. And again, if it's a metric ruler, you'd have to make an estimate, just a guess. But on a vernier caliper, I can actually use something to tell me. So I start looking at the line. 0, there's the 1, there's the 2 line. It's really, really lined up. In fact, if I click it, it'll highlight it. So I'm going to write down 14.2 millimeters or 1.42 centimeters. Either one is a correct answer. All right, let's do one more. I'm going to move it in here a little ways. Okay, so there's my 0 line, and where is it beyond? It's beyond, that's the 1 millimeter, 2, 3, 4, 5 millimeter mark. Here's a 6 millimeter mark. So it's somewhere between the 5 and the 6. So I could write down 5 for millimeters. If I'm going to do it in centimeters, I would have written down 0.5. 0.5, right? Because this is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 centimeters, half a centimeter. See, I'm halfway over to here. 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, and then 1 centimeter. So if I do it in millimeters, I'm beyond the 5 millimeter mark. If I do it in centimeters, I'm beyond the 0.5 centimeter mark. The 5 millimeter mark or the 0.5 centimeter mark. Okay, so now I got to figure out how far in between I am. I'm going to start looking at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the 5. It's really, really lined up. So it's going to be 5.5 millimeters or 0.55 centimeters. Okay, hopefully you can do that on the test. The key is the 0 line here is your pointer. Don't get tricked by something else. It's the 0 line is your pointer. Okay, that is a vernier caliper. Let's look at a micrometer. Here's a micrometer. This measures out way more precise. This actually goes out to the thousandths of a millimeter. Remember, the vernier caliper just went to the tenths of a millimeter, but the micrometer will go out to a thousandths of a millimeter, which of course would be a millionth of a meter. That's why it's called a micrometer. The micro symbol looks like this. It's a mu, micrometer, or a micrometer, a micro. It's M-I-C-R-O. But it's a mu, a Greek letter mu, micro. So we can measure out to a micrometer, which is a millionth of a meter. So this is even more complicated. So on this one, you put something in between the two jaws right here. And then wherever this thimble here is on the barrel, right here is where we're measuring to. So what I have on the barrel here is on the top is like a regular ruler. So they're millimeters. I have millimeters across there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 millimeters, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 millimeters, 11. These markings down here are half millimeters. So if this is 0 to 1 millimeter, so you'll see that split right there in the middle. So those are half millimeters. So what you have to do, the first thing you do to write down is to see how much is exposed on this barrel. So 10, 11, and then you'll see there's a half. So 11.5. And then you don't see anything else. So I would write down 11.5. Now this is going to be that's in millimeters. So I'm going to write over here millimeters. We're going to write this always in millimeters for the micrometer. So I write down 11.5. Okay. Then I see where this line right here coming down the middle, where this line comes into this measuring device over on this side. And you'll see it comes right in between. Let's see, there's 20, there's 19, 18. It comes in between 18 and 19. 18 and 19. These over here are hundredths of a millimeter. I really wish actually they would make micrometers with a point right here in front of these. So this is 0.20 and 0.15, okay? So it's in between, this line is coming down in between 19 and the 18. So it's just beyond the 0.18. So what I do is I add on to what I already wrote down, 0.18. I write that on. I add it on to it, okay? Then I actually need one more digit because I need to go to the thousands place. So how do I get that? Well, this is just like the regular ruler. You're going to guess how far in between these two lines that line comes, and you can totally guess whatever you want. I'm going to say it looks like it's a 6, like 6/10 of the way in between there. So I'm going to add on a 6. I add it all up, 11.686 millimeters is how long it is in between these two things. Now you'll notice here 11.68, and they have your estimate in parentheses, and they chose a 5. It doesn't matter. That's good enough. Okay, so 11.685 is what they said. I thought it was 11.686 millimeters. All right, let's do another one. Let's move. Let's see. I'll move this in. I'll move it out of the ways. Let's go right there. Okay, so I have something in here. I'm going to try to measure out what it is. Ooh, yeah, I should turn it off. Okay, I'm going to move that again. I didn't realize I could do that. So I'm going to turn off the answer. Okay, so now you don't see the answer. Okay, we'll turn it on and check a little bit to check. Okay, so here I look on the barrel first, right? And I go 5 millimeters, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7. And that's as far as I can go. I can't go to 7.5. I can't see it. So I write down 7, and I write down a 0, 7.0. I either write down something 0.5 or something 0.0 to start with. When you look on the barrel, you're either going to be beyond the 0.5 or you're going to be beyond the actual millimeter. So I write down 7.0 millimeters first. Now I see where is this line coming down on this measuring device, and it's coming in between, let's see, 14. It's coming in between the 13 and the 14 hundredths. So I'm going to write down 0.13. So 7.0 and then 0.13. And then my last one is just a guess, and I'm just going to guess it's halfway between. So I'm going to write down the 0.005. So your last guess is a thousandth of a millimeter. So I get my first 2 digits by looking on this. It's either something 0.0 or something 0.5. I get my next 2 digits, my point whatever, from where it falls in between these two things, and my thousandths place digit comes from just a huge guess. So you add them all up, and you got 7.135 millimeters. Goes to the thousandths place of a millimeter, and I'm going to click it on, and 7.134. I just keep guessing the last digit wrong, I guess. Okay. All right, one more try with this. Let's test this out one more. Let's do that randomly, okay? All right, so what do we got? So on the barrel, 20, 21, 21.5. I can't seem to get to a 22, so I'm going to write down 21.5, 21.5, 21.5 millimeters. And then where does this line go in between? It goes in between the 29 and the 30. So I'm going to write down 0.29. It's not beyond the 30, so I go 0.29. And then I guess on the end, right here in between there, I have no idea, it's an 8. I'm going to say 0.008. Add them up, I get 21.798 millimeters. 21.798 millimeters. I can click the eyeball, the moment of truth. 21.79, of course, I'm one off again. 21.797. So I have links in the Discord for both of these little apps, so you should play with them yourself. And I took basically a screenshot of these things for the Jedi trial. So you're going to get one of each. So that's 20% of the test. So you need to know how to use these measuring devices. Hopefully that was helpful to you.